The city of Pripyat, barely 2 kilometers from the power plant, was where Chernobyl's workers lived. It was a prestigious address.
That's my home straight ahead. The 5-story one, 6th entrance, 3rd floor. We had a window and a balcony looking out this way. We had only just started renovating the place, and my father had managed to paint only half the balcony. Half the wall is one colour and the other half another.
Former plant worker Larisha Kapshuk grew up here and retains fond memories.
Well, what can I say about this flat? It's the place of my childhood, my youth. It's my favourite place. How many times I cried here, unrequited love and all that. Good times and bad times, joy and tears. There were lots of it, and this is all that's left.
Today, the city bears no resemblance to its former glory.
This is our main square. Very beautiful roses used to grow here, and they were all really well kept. You weren't allowed to pick them, but if you were caught, they would announce your name and place of work on the speaker at the power plant. That's how they would punish you, by making you feel ashamed. So people tried not to pick them, or at least not to be seen doing it. And this was Broadway. In the evenings, not one bench would be empty. There were couples and groups sitting everywhere. We would say, "Where are we going?" "Broadway. We're going to hang out on Broadway. Let's meet on Broadway. Where's he gone? Look for him on Broadway." I don't know why we called it that. Probably we liked it. Broadway.
When the order to evacuate Pripyat was given, residents were not told they were leaving for good.
They told us over the radio that we had to close our windows and cover them with some kind of white cloth or sheets. They also told us not to open anything, but to await further information. They said buses would come for us. There would be a different bus for each block. We went outside probably around 4 o'clock. They started taking people away from 4 o'clock on the 27th. But you know, the mood was such that nobody really thought anything serious had happened. Some people even brought a bottle with them.
This would be the last time most residents would ever see their hometown. Some had already suffered irreparable damage to their health.
Many of my friends and those close to me are no more. And it's always the same diagnosis. Heart attack. I thank God that I'm alive and that I'm healthy. Not completely healthy, of course, but I am still alive. But many of my friends and family, well, God willing, will survive.
Gauging the full impact of the explosion at the Chernobyl power plant is difficult. Radioactive materials expelled from the reactor did not land evenly, and people respond differently to exposure. An exclusion zone with a radius of 30 kilometers was established to surround the Chernobyl plant. But some of those evacuated after the explosion have since returned to live.
I went nowhere. I've only been in Chernobyl. I've been wintering here ever since the start of 1987. They only allocated me a one-room flat for me, my wife and my mother-in-law. Where was I going to live? So I came home. They said I wasn't allowed. But I came home, and then the police came. They came and gave me thunder and lightning. We are evicting you, destroying the house, and taking you away. I said, I have a permit, a passport, I have everything. If you do this, then I also have 2 grenades. I was in the Navy for 6 years, I told them. If the bulldozer comes, I'll throw the grenades. I'll blow you up. And as for you, boss, I'll find you in your office. I'll throw another grenade. I'll blow you up too. But I'm not going anywhere. Anywhere.
Ivan has lived off the land ever since and insists that he is perfectly healthy.
Potatoes grow. Everything grows. I have enough for myself. Beans, tomatoes, cucumbers. Everything grows. You just need your hands.
Others, particularly those who worked on the clean-up operation, have not been so lucky. Former fireman Vladimir Preshipa has been dogged by ill health.
God gives us doctors who look after the body while He looks after our soul. I have had 3 operations. For cancer in the bronchial tube, for lung cancer, and the 3rd operation related to my 2nd operation when my heart stopped. They removed a blood clot and inserted a device at the entrance to my heart.
The father of Pripyat resident Larissa Kapchuk worked at the dump where equipment contaminated by radiation was brought. He died after working there for 5 years.
They gave him a diagnosis of general illness. It was the same for everyone. You weren't allowed to say that it was linked to the radiation. But there was a link in his case. When he was ill, his illness was linked to the cleanup. When he died, my mother went to the same institute where they had made the link, and a committee there said his death was a result of his participation in the cleanup operation.
Thyroid cancer among children rose strongly after the accident. By the mid-1990s, some parts of southern Belarus were noting an incidence of thyroid cancer 100 times the normal rate. Children have been particularly vulnerable to fallout.
I have 4 grandchildren, 3 girls and a boy. When the youngest girl was born, they didn't notice that she had a heart condition. Now she can't make sudden movements, and she gets tired easily. She comes home from school half dead. All my children and grandchildren are all under observation at the radiological clinic. Their health isn't great.
Today, the most widely accepted explanation for the explosion at Chernobyl is operator error. But blaming the worker wasn't acceptable in the communist Soviet Union, and those in government didn't take responsibility either. Instead, it was the management of the plant. 6 people were sentenced to jail terms. Plant director Breus served 5 years in prison.
I think that the cause of the accident, and this has been the subject of much discussion, is the reactor itself. The reactor was faulty, that's my opinion. Many specialists have also come to the conclusion that the reactor was to blame. Of course, they blame the personnel, namely the 6 of us, and me as head. I realise that if there had been no personnel, then there would have been no power plant and nothing would have happened. But once the plant was up and running, then the personnel would be blamed for whatever happened. And the one who answers for the personnel is the one at the top, me.
At the top, they knew that it was the designers who were to blame, not the operators. But the designers designed the reactor the Soviet way, and the Soviet way was to do everything as cheaply as possible. Even if it meant cutting corners on safety, it was a question of economics.
Ukraine and Belarus have paid and continue to pay a high price for the accident at Chernobyl. But it could have been far worse.
If Pripyat had been north of the power station when the accident happened, and if the wind had blown towards Pripyat and its 52,000 residents, there would have been 52,000 corpses.
When we sit in a car and drive, we're taking a risk voluntarily. A population that lives close to an atomic power station is not taking the risk voluntarily, it's a forced risk. There's a big difference. But these are the rules of living in our science and technology-driven society.
As the world embraces the nuclear option as the answer for its energy needs once more, Chernobyl serves as a timely reminder of what can go wrong.